Hey everyone, Aisha here. So today I want to talk about the topic, should children be the stars of their parents' social media channels? And so this is a topic that I wanted to talk about for a while, and I might have actually talked about it over on my podcast, Phenomenal Moms podcast. But I thought that it was really important, especially in light of a lot of the conversations that are going on right now nationally, about, children and social media. And so I started to think about this again because over the summer I posted a picture of me at Twins Day. So I wanted to take my kids to Twins Day. So I took them and I just posted the picture of me. And then one of the comments that I received under the picture was, why didn't you post a picture of your kids at Twins Day? We want to see the twins. And I thought that that was interesting. It actually came from someone that I do know in real life. But I've received similar comments from people who I don't know in real life, but who follow the channel, who follow me on social media, and who want to see pictures of my kids. And so even when I was starting to talk to single moms, when I was starting to talk to women who face unplanned pregnancies, I remember people telling me, like, you have to show pictures of your kids. But for me, I never wanted to show pictures of my kids. I have very strong boundaries around my kids. And my thing is that I'm talking to the mom, right? I'm helping her to navigate her journey during the season where she's a single mom. I'm helping her to transition well into single motherhood based upon my own experiences, experiencing an unplanned pregnancy and having to figure out how to move forward based upon this. But I'm not necessarily, it's different, right? My focus is on the mom and really equipping and empowering the mom and motherhood. And so I just never felt compelled to share my kids on social media. And I've received various different responses for that. And so I remember years ago someone said, you might want to explain why your kids don't show up on social media. But I'm noticing now that there are trends going on where prominent mom bloggers, I saw an article just the other day where a prominent mom blogger had her kids in her YouTube channel and in her social media. From the time that her channel was started, she actually removed the pictures of her kids. She took down everything that had their real name, their birth date. She took down the information about, when she gave birth to them, everything that she had posted that pertained to the kids, their privacy and their identity. She scrubbed it. And I think if I remember the article correctly, she had either hundreds of thousands of followers, if not millions. And one of the things that she said is that, she's realizing that this is a digital footprint, right? That her kids can't erase. And seeing that, and then also seeing a story where there was a girl whose childhood was filmed by her parents for YouTube. She was testifying at Congress saying that there have to be more protections for kids, and kids should be able to automatically request that their entire social media platform on their parents' page be deleted when they turn 18. They should have that right. So I know that there's a lot of national discussions going on as well about kids and social media. So this is something, like I said, I wanted to talk about all the time. I briefly talked about it, but I thought that it was important to talk about in a little bit more detail, especially considering the climate that we're in and the landscape that we're in and the conversations that are happening more so around privacy, social media, and children. And so one of the things that also spurred this topic is I remember, a friend of mine showed me a video about a viral TikTok challenge where parents or, trusted adults would invite their child to cook with them, and the child didn't know that they were being filmed for a prank. And so when the child was getting ready to crack the eggs, or when it was time to do the eggs, the parent would slam it on their forehead and would film the reaction of the child and post it on social media to, just to be able to get likes and responses from most people who are strangers. And that got me really thinking about how children should be treated on their social media, on the parents' social media page. It got me thinking about my own views about social media. I started thinking about some of the trends that I saw related to kids and social media. Even I think it is the UK. I think it's the UK where they're considering legislation where kids won't even be able to be on social media until 16. Just because of some of the mental health effects of social media and kids. So I think it's really important to at least have this discussion. And I do want to start off by saying this is not intended to shame anyone. And I definitely think that it's a personal decision for what you decide to share and not share about your children on social media. And I'm not judging parents who do share. And I mean, like, for people I know, I like seeing the pictures of their kids growing up, right? I do. And so I understand that. I understand, that desire to want to cheer someone on and encourage them in motherhood or celebrate their kids' wins with them, right? And so I respect the fact that everybody is going to come to a decision that works best for their family, an informed decision that works for their family. But I thought that the discussion itself isn't really important to have right now. And maybe you will decide that you're going to keep sharing, and that is totally fine. That is something that works for you. And maybe some of you might decide to share less. Some might decide to not share at all. But I think that this conversation is really important to have right now. So I say all of this to say I'm not shaming you. I'm not judging you if you share. I just wanted to give you a little bit more of an understanding of what I choose in case you're wondering and why. In case you're, starting to reevaluate some of the things that you are sharing. And so the first thing that I wanted to say is that our children cannot reasonably consent to being on social media. And so I think about how, we talk about consent and so many different things, right? But our kids, we're not asking our kids permission when we share it on social media. And I've actually... I remember one time I ended up posting a picture of one of my friend's kids on social media, and she reached out to me and was just like, can you please take that down? And I think that we have to get to the point where we're not necessarily sharing other people's kids on social media, that we're asking permission, and that if we are posting our kids, we have to understand, like I said, they can't reasonably consent. They can't say, I want to be on social media. They can't say they don't want to be on social media. Sometimes they'll say, hey, post me on social media because, that's what they're used to. But informed consent means that you're understanding what's happening, you're understanding the risk and the benefits, and you're making a conscious decision to do it anyway, right? And so that's not something that our kids can reasonably do, especially if they're babies. And so also I want to share this because if you're a mom who's experiencing an unplanned pregnancy, or you're newer in your single motherhood journey, you're newer in your motherhood journey, you have the decision, you have this perspective now, so you can decide from the beginning consciously what you're going to share and what you're not going to share. Because for the parents who have been sharing all along and who are now realizing that they want to do something different, their kids already have an established digital footprint, whether they like it or not. And they can do things retroactively to try and delete it, but it may or may not be able to be deleted. So you have a chance right now to start off with a clean slate. If you're not going to share, then, you can make that decision right now. And if you are going to share, you can decide what you're going to share and make that conscious decision. But our kids can't reasonably consent. The other thing is that the digital footprint never goes away. And so, like I said before, I saw the story of a girl who was testifying in Congress, and she was talking about how all the details of her were on YouTube. Like her reaction to when she first got her period was on YouTube. She was in an accident. And so rather than helping, her parents stuck the camera in her face to try and show her reaction to the accident, right? And she said that she just never had a moment of something that was personal for her. Her whole life was content. And she was saying that she can't take that away. When people recognize her, they'll start to talk about the things that they've seen in the videos, her melting down, her yelling, right? Her good and her bad moments were all there for content, for public consumption, right? And so that doesn't go away. The imprint on people's mind about who she is based upon how she was filmed, like that, I mean, that's there, right? And so that digital footprint doesn't go away. Those embarrassing photos that parents think are cute that end up on social media, like that doesn't go away. And I've heard of other stories online that were cited where kids saw embarrassing pictures of people who they went to school with on the parents' page, and then they use those photos to begin bullying the child, right? Later on, when they just happen to find it. And so we have to be very cognizant that that digital footprint doesn't go away. These companies, they have like copies and save stuff, and there's backups to this stuff that can't necessarily go away just because you hit delete. You don't know who went and saved that picture from your social media page. So just so the digital footprint doesn't go away. The other thing is that we have to think about the relationship between our children and us, right? Our parenting relationship, that trust relationship between parents and child. And so when we're sharing things that are personal, right? When we're sharing things that are embarrassing that we think are funny, then that can also be seen as a violation of trust. And I remember one time seeing a post, it was Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter commented on Gwyneth Paltrow's page and said, hey, requested that you don't post pictures of me on social media. And so it's interesting to see how some of the kids are asking for more boundaries. And if parents don't respect those boundaries, then it becomes a breach of trust between a parent and child. And also as a child, right? As a child is looking to the parent to have their best interests at heart. And so if the parent is sharing things that are embarrassing to the child or might not be appropriate, or the child might look back on and cringe, right? Then that's a potential area for a breach of trust, right? If not now, then in the future. So we have to be able to keep that in mind. And so the fourth thing I want to say is protection from bullying. And so our kids might want privacy and not want everything online. And so, like I said, I've seen instances where kids have found embarrassing pictures of kids that go to their school on the parents' page and use that for bullying. And so, so we just need to make sure that we're doing things to protect the child, to portray the child in the best light. But at the other end, I've seen this as well, where parents, they're proud of their kids, right? So then they're posting the highlights of their kids. But then I've seen stories where kids feel like that what's been demonstrated to the public is kind of like this idealized view of the child that triggers perfectionism tendencies. And this child is constantly trying to live up to what the parent is posting on social media. So then it triggers that perfectionism and then can trigger some mental health things as well. And then the other thing, the fifth thing I want to say is it helps children to learn boundaries, that they don't have to document their life on social media. Because sometimes with social media, and I've done this before, where I've been on vacation and I'm filming the whole thing or taking pictures of the whole thing just to be able to post it on social, right? And so at that point, I'm not necessarily in the moment. I'm trying to figure out what moments I can capture and then turn into content. And I'm missing the moments around me, right? And so there becomes a boundary blend. And there have been times even when I don't post my kids on social, But there have been times where, you know, I'm taking a picture and I see a really beautiful background. I'm in the middle of, you know, doing an activity with my kids, and then I spot a beautiful background. I literally stop what we're doing and say, hey, we got to go over there, and here's my phone. Take this picture like this. I need you to take this picture so I can post it on social, right? And so then I'm checking the phone, and I'm like, okay, wait, you got to lift the phone a little bit higher because I need to see my whole head. And at that point, you know, there's boundaries being blurred about what's going on. And so I think that, and that's an instance even in my own life where I'm not necessarily posting my kids, but, you know, that desire to be able to have content for social media begins to blur boundaries about with time, you know, with time that I have with my kids. And being fully present. And so I think that when we draw a distinction about what we will and will not post, it helps our children. We're modeling boundaries for our kids, and that they don't have to document their whole life. They don't have to live for the gram. They don't have to live for TikTok. But it's okay to have a, you know, a life that's theirs, that that isn't for public consumption. And hopefully it can encourage them to develop real life relationships outside of social. And again, like, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying this to judge anyone. I'm not saying this to shame anyone. I'm not saying this to say my way is right, your way is wrong. I really just want you to be able to think and to hear a different perspective, and to just be able to make a conscious decision about what you're showing. And the other thing I want to say is protecting the safety of your children. And this is a big one. I've seen this at back to school time where law enforcement talks about healthy boundaries around posting if parents want to post. And so one of the things that they say is that back to school time, like, don't show your child in your child's school clothes, or not school clothes, but like, you know, wearing the name of the school, or standing in front of the school building, or standing in front of your house with your visible address showing on the front of your house, right? So doing things like that to protect the safety of your kids, to try and minimize the information that's shared on social. So not showing what school they go to, not showing things that will let people know what their daily routines are. If you take a picture on location, let's say you're at the park or you're at the playground, or, you know, you're doing whatever at some store with your kid, like, don't post real time. Like, don't live stream, right? And so wait until after you've already left the vicinity and left that space before you go and post. I actually know people who won't post about their activities until 3 days later. And so by the time they're posting about that fun play day at the park, or that fun play day at the playground, they've been gone for 3 whole days, right? And so just thinking about some of the safety precautions that you can build in around the posting to be able to beef up the safety. Here are some other common ones. Adjusting the privacy settings. So who can see the pictures of your kids? Is it everybody, right? Or is it just friends and family member? Or better yet, to be able to keep up with friends and family member, are there shared folders or sharing apps that you can use where you can have people opt in? Because the people who love you, like extended family, they're going to want to see your kids, right? I mean, just like we do, like with people who we love. But how do we do that in a way that protects the safety of the kids, presents them in the best light as possible, and it's just, you know, protects their mental health, their future, and minimizes their digital footprint going forward? And so I know it's a lot, but like I said, you know, if you're a mom facing, you know, an unplanned pregnancy, or if you're pregnant and you're going to be a mom, or you're early on in motherhood, then these are things that you can think about now to impact how you share going forward. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I saw a story of a mom influencer who her kids were toddlers, so they were like around 2 or 3, when she scrubbed their images and likenesses from her social media page. So even though she's still a mom influencer, she's still a mom blogger, when she posts her kids, she posts you know, she'll either film them from like, you know, the silhouette from behind, or she'll put like something to, you know, when she edits it, she'll have like a sticker over it so that people can't see her face. I actually know somebody else who, when she shows her kids, she posts like the sticker over top of the face before she posts the picture online, so people can't see the child's face. And so are there things like that where you can still show your kids, but in a way that protects their privacy a little bit more? And so I think it's just, like I said, important to think about how much we share about our kids. Asking yourself, like, what are your goals for social media? Like, what is your aim for this? Like, why are you posting this thing? What are you hoping people will be able to get from it? And so, does this picture show the child in an embarrassing or unflattering light? How will we feel if someone shared us at our worst moments? And so, but what is the aim of your kids being on social media? And really being able to take those questions and answer them honestly, and then deciding going forward, what works for you? What works for your family? What do you want to share and why? I was just looking at my notes to try to see if I talked about everything that I wanted to share with you today. And I think that is, let me check, I think that is, yeah, I think that is it. I think I got everything that I wanted to share with you. But just know that social media can be a very beautiful place to share some exciting moments of your children's lives. Keep up with family members, or just give people insight into what makes you you. You know, your motivation behind you, especially like, you know, if you have a whole brand where you're encouraging and equipping and whatever it might be. But it can be a beautiful place. But also know that there can also be some not good stuff about it. So it's just important that as parents, we're proactive about protecting our children, looking out for what's best for them, and then making educated decisions based upon based upon, you know, what we find, and then determining a plan to how to move forward. So let me know. I hope that this has been helpful for you. And again, I'm not saying this to shame or judge anybody. I just wanted you guys to hear from me why I don't post my kids on social media. Hopefully give you some understanding why, and some of the recent things that I have been seeing online regarding children, privacy, and social media, and protecting children. So, and the other beautiful thing is, like I said, if you're pregnant, right, or you're new to motherhood, you have a chance to be able to think through this up front, right, and decide on what the best course of action is going forward. But yeah, so I just want to encourage you to grab a copy of my book, Navigating the Impossible, a survival guide for single moms from pregnancy through the first year of motherhood. It is available on Amazon. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and leave a comment to let me know how this helps you. Have a good one.